As mankind on Earth evolved, wealth and technology drove centuries-long Cold Wars among the world's most powerful entities. Those who refused to align with popular political and spiritual ideologies were left abandoned by their own nations. Pleas for open discourse, common decency, and the respect for our fellow man were met with hostility and suppression of the national and local support. Amidst the pervasive tribalism held by so many, a global network based on a culture of thought began establishing itself under a core group of intellectuals, championed by a young entrepreneur by the name of David Spencer. Discussion of creating their own society led to individuals migrating from all walks of life to a series of islands in the South Pacific to join Mr. Spencer and his cohorts in what came to be known as the Elysium Alliance. These are the words written in some of the oldest journals preserved on the rise of the New Order, journals filled with the history of Next Island that we will slowly uncover together. Next Island is a planet filled with wonder and excitement. I sometimes wonder why it took me so long to come to this planet. Distance does come to mind at first. It is situated in the far reaches of the known universe after all, but the journey was so worth it. Now, a few years after I set foot on this planet, I want to tell you my story. A story of Next Island. The story of an adventurer showing her most exciting, thrilling, as well as humbling times on this planet, growing as a hunter and learning the secrets of Next Island. My name is Sarah Watson, and this is my story. When I first landed on the planet, I was taken aback by the scenery. Multiple landing bays, all funneling towards the main platform, hydroponics bays showing off the latest technology Next Island had to offer, and even sophisticated transportation that seemed to be a refreshing model compared to Calypso's industrial, more blocky design. It was hard to imagine that this paradise was once under a dark cloud of oppression and violence not so long ago. The main landing area was in a location rightly called Paradise Landing, and the area did not disappoint. From my long travels, I was growing weary. That was until I was pleasantly surprised to receive healing from the large statue front and centre of Paradise Landing. Curiosity got the better of me, and I continued to approach the statue. Ignoring the potential repercussions continued exposure of regenerative properties this machine might have on my body.
This statue is a dedication and likeliness to Vice Admiral Post, the fearless leader to the original colony, and a man considered the father of modern-day Next Island. His selfless sacrifice and incredible bravery made the exodus to Next Island a reality. His unrelenting, staunch fortitude in the face of overwhelming odds is a credit to his name, and we make every effort to offer him with the work we do as a growing colony every day. With great admiration and everlasting fidelity, we pledge to continue his work, his ambition, and his vision. Let this monolith be witness to our honor.
The voiceover and the inscription on the statue was humbling, showing the colonists of NI were more brother-sister to one another, regardless of blood relations. As I headed south out of Paradise Landing, I was informed by a local to head to the nearby village at the bottom of the cliff, near the beach. As I approached the way down, I could have gone via a teleporter, but at the time I thought it would be rude to use the teleporter rather than the stairs to enjoy the scenery. Next time, I'll think I'll just take the teleporter. There were a great number of steps, and I'm sure that the staircase was as old as the New Order itself. After reaching the bottom, and believing I had died and been resurrected by Raxum's pouch, I headed to the village nearby. I was warmly greeted by the locals, with many giving me small freebies, to help make my first day a little less daunting and scary. They too say first impressions are important, and the colonists of Next Island were not to disappoint. As I ran back to head north of Paradise Landing, I saw something in the distance. It caught my eye instantly. For those of you who don't know, I love to hunt robots, and my keen eyesight and heart began to race with the hopes that I might be able to hunt my favourite type of creature on this planet. When I first walked up, I saw 5 pens spaced out, containing a single creature in each pen. Upon closer inspection, I came to the knowledge that these creatures were known as L.A.R.A. I believe this stands for Lovable, Advantageous, Robotic Allies. With my scans, I realised they were low level, level 0 to be exact, with 20 HP. Their aggression or aggro range was small, and their attacks only seemed to leave small scrapes on me if I wasn't wearing armour. My health radar gave me an average of 3 health points lost per hit if the hit was successful. This means it was a perfect first creature for me to hunt. It seems that the local authorities had a conservation plan in place for this little robot. As I mentioned before, only one L.A.R.A occupied each pen. However, when I began to hunt the L.A.R.A and looted the body, another L.A.R.A would be teleported in the pen for me to hunt. It seemed to be a very effective method to ensure overhunting was not an issue for these creatures. As my hunt continued, I found another surprise waiting for me with all these small robot creatures. My scanners showed that a select few were able to be tamed. When I investigated more of Paradise Landing, I found a large L.A.R.A creature called L.A.R.A that gave me some invaluable advice. If I were to slay 15 L.A.R.As in a single pen, the next L.A.R.A teleported would be able to become a true ally to me. Sure enough, when I scavenged the loot from my 15th L.A.R.A, my scans indicated that the new L.A.R.A teleported was able to be tamed, so that's exactly what I did. Long before I knew it, I had many L.A.R.A companions by my side. Apart from being able to be tamed, the L.A.R.As also had a selection of loot. You got the usual shrapnel, as well as robot component residue, and robot low-loss link cables. These 3 items I was able to recover more commonly than others. Another common item that I was able to recover that was exclusive to Next Island was an item called a Cherubicil crystal. Rarer items that I was able to obtain were the Socket 1 components and the Tier 1 components. However, the rarest and coincidentally the most valuable item I was able to recover from these adorable creatures was something called a L.A.R.A. This item I eventually came to realise was used in armour plate upgrades and therefore sought after in the market. From telling you this story, the L.A.R.As are at a steady 2000% markup, or MU for short, making a hunter like me jump for joy when I looked up the market history for the first time. I spent many a day hunting these creatures, with other colonists arriving to hunt at their own pen for hours on end. It was a pleasant experience for sure, but my relaxing days at the L.A.R.A pens took a surprising twist not long after. I remember it being early afternoon. I had just finished killing and scavenging my most recent lovable friend. I saw a colonist I recognised earlier in the day, wandering aimlessly around the pens. It was uncommon for someone to walk back and forth in such a manner without engaging in any hunting or taming. They approached me and said that their name was Cecilia, a long-time resident of Next Island. They had been new to taming, but were present around the pens often. They told me that her beloved L.A.R.A had strayed from the pens and she had not returned, even shouting the promise of Nutrio bars. It was clear to me that Cecilia loved her dear ally, and it wouldn't be very entropiing of me to ignore her asking for assistance in the matter. I replied promptly that I would help her locate her beloved L.A.R.A and bring it back safe and sound. The surrounding area posed little threat to me, as there wasn't a huge congregation of mobs around Paradise Landing. Cecilia told me her concerns that a L.A.R.A known as L.A.R.A may had fallen down a steep area of land, injuring themselves, which meant they were unable to get back home. I reassured them that L.A.R.As are resilient creatures and that the damage done would not be enough to think of the worst case scenario. With my reassurance working its magic, I then set off to find L.A.R.A. I had to first think of the most likely area that L.A.R.A would have gone and coincidentally gotten injured. As I said before, the creatures around Paradise Landing were not my main concern. What concerned me more was the terrain around the vicinity. Once out of a pen, a L.A.R.A would practically free roam wherever it wanted. and that could have meant walking dangerously close to the edge of a steep cliff. I remember walking up to the edge of an embankment and looking around. If I wasn't helping someone find their beloved pet, I would have taken in the beauty of the scenery. What I was taking in is that if L.A.R.A had hurt itself, it wouldn't have been able to climb this cliff, meaning that if they did fall down, they would still be near the bottom somewhere. So I started my descent, running around a less inclined area of the cliff, calling out for L.A.R.A and hoping to hear a response. As I got to the bottom, I realised just how vast the opening really was, and wondered if I had bitten off more than I could chew in traversing this area in a reasonable time. Even with the odds stacked against me, I still pushed on, calling out for L.A.R.A, hoping again for that response. Then, out of the corner of my eye, when I was just about to call it a day, I saw a white object jump slightly in the distance. In my heart, I knew it had to be L.A.R.A. It seemed incredibly happy to see me, and in truth, I was relieved to see them in return. I began to inspect L.A.R.A, wanting to make sure that she wasn't severely damaged. It seemed that luck was on her side today, and my scans indicated only minor damages to her, damage that could easily be healed with some nutribars and rest. L.A.R.A still seemed to be able to walk, but was scared to do it alone. That's why they were still here. So I stayed close to her and promised L.A.R.A that we'd get her back to her owner before nightfall. It didn't take a huge amount of time to get back up to the pens. As I expected, Cecilia was still on the opposite side, looking for L.A.R.A. As I approached Cecilia, she jumped for joy seeing her beloved L.A.R.A safe and sound. I returned L.A.R.A to her, and Cecilia told me she wanted to give me a gift. I said it wasn't necessary, but she insisted. I accepted the gift, which to my shock turned out to be a brand new Atlas helmet. I couldn't believe it. I was ever so grateful to Cecilia, and then I said my goodbyes before walking off to explore more of this amazing planet. I thought that maybe this adventure would be the only unforgettable experience on this planet. But oh, I was so wrong. You'll find out more about my adventures next time. Watson out.